Hi, this is Professor Cordes, and this is the Week 5 overview video for English 353 Children's Literature. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing with our study of illustrations. We are specifically looking at analyzing images. A lot of things kind of overlap or bleed into the week 4, our previous week, where we were looking at illustrations when we were working on our illustration project and doing our annotations. So during week 5, we're going to kind of continue the conversation and begin to specifically look at other books, other resources, and continue in even with that conversation of how do these images and these picture books impact a child based upon their different level of human development. So for the overview, I'm gonna go through what's expected so you guys can begin to manage your time. I'll have additional videos and lectures that you guys can preview and review. Please, at any moment, if you have questions or concerns, just send me a message, send me an email. I want to be able to help you and guide you through these different tasks that we need to complete. So the first thing that you see here is the overview of the week. You've got your reading. We've got Tale of Peter Rabbit. Fantastic book. But Not the Hippopotamus. Love that story. We used to read that to my daughter all the time. We have Tar Beach. We have They Also Saw a Cat. And we have the classic Where the Wild Things Are. So these books are going to kind of help gear us into our conversations. There's the lectures that I'll go over, the reading quiz, as well as your illustration analysis paper and presentation, which is due by the end of the week. And then also we kind of want to look ahead for our final project. So now that we are done with week 5, we've got 3 weeks left. We are going to go into what is the culminating what is the culminating feature of our class? How are we showing our learning now that we're at the end? Okay. So first thing, there's different readings that you guys can see here. Some of these books that you will need to get on your own, or perhaps you can get them from a library. Fantastic reads. The lectures I'm putting in here, a couple things that I did want to feature and go over now. There's the picture books, what they're really trying to teach us. Fantastic video for you. A book with no pictures. Some of you guys may know BJ Novak. He is a television writer and a television actor. And so he came up with this book called A Book with No Pictures. Now, even though we're studying and analyzing images and illustrations, it's still important to see how does this book with no pictures correspond to children at certain levels of childhood development. I added in 3 videos that talk about Erikson, Piaget, and Kohlberg and go further in depth for what's happening with the child. I know last time we talked, I gave you a grid. I kind of showed it to you, gave you some examples. Here, some psychologists, childhood development theorists, experts are showcasing what it's like in these 3 different theories and what that means for the child reader. Okay. We have an example of what your illustration analysis presentation is going to look like, so you guys can get an idea of that. And then, of course, I'm going to have a video lecture that talks about your final project. So please make sure that you take the time to review those. We've got a reading quiz, just like normal. The illustration analysis paper. So the paper is the bigger chunk. You're writing those 3 to 5 pages, analyzing those images. Most of you have already pulled from your annotations that you submitted last week because those will be beneficial for you. There's an example essay here if you want to click on that and review how they set things up, how kind of their outline went. This one right here is actually Dr. Bartles again. From OPS, she gives you a presentation of what your presentation should look like. So the idea of using screencast, VoiceThread, a YouTube link. I use the platform Loom, which is a Chrome extension to make my videos, simply because I like the feature within the feature. That's the only thing that I have here. But she gives an example, and that's going to be a perfect way for you to present your information for this project. Okay. You'll notice the rubric that the university wants us to use for grading. What's your analysis paper like? How was your presentation? And then editing and formatting, making sure that your writing is well done, that you've proofread your paper, all of those things. Okay. Now, the final project, when you first look at it, it's going to be rather overwhelming. If it's overwhelming right now, pause, walk away, come back and look at the additional video that goes into things more in detail. But right now, I'm just going to give you a preview. There's multiple parts to it. The final project is due week 8, day 3. And the reason why it's due day 3 is because teachers and professors need to have time in order to grade it, because as soon as our course is over, the next day teachers have to turn in grades to the registrar's office. So we need time to grade that. So please mark your calendars, manage your time. This is not due at the end of the week, like on the Sunday on day 7. This is due day 3. So that's why we're starting it now. Okay. It's a research-based literary analysis. You are looking at something inside of the text and kind of beginning to pull it apart. So there's components of the very first close reading that you did for this class. There's components of like the annotations. There's components of the research aspects that you've learned from your English 1.1.3 and 1.2.3 classes. It says you'll be picking a topic, choosing a primary text that we've discussed, doing some library research, and kind of begin to compile things into the various components of this project. So the very first thing, you're writing a proposal for what you want to research and annotate, submitting an annotated bibliography. What this looks like, and let me back up, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. The project is focusing on something of interest for you within children's literature. So there are examples that we have before. Please do not be overwhelmed by the 7 to 9 pages, because once you begin to go into the text, you're going to find lots of information. This is an upper division literature course, so these papers of that length are normal and expected. But there's certain things that you have that you could go into. So there's the idea of analyzing the spiritual roots in our stories. Where does spirituality, religion, the idea of Christianity come into play within these stories? What is it like for gender roles, right? What is the idea of a female protagonist versus a male protagonist? How are those things different? How are those items represented differently for our child reader? Diversity, looking at the cultural richness of children's literature and how is it being presented? How do Esperanza Rising, Inside Out, and Back Again, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, how do they reflect an authentic and real culture for our readers? Okay. Maybe there's the theme of loss, losing someone, trauma, a major event, some sort of catastrophe. What is that like in a story? You guys can kind of begin to piece things together and select something that's interesting to you. Okay. If you want more information, go to the actual video for this assignment. I'll be giving some more details there. But really, this is an opportunity for you to investigate children's literature on your own and begin to really see, like, this intrigues me, and you begin to pull things apart and analyze what you wish. Okay. Last but not least, as always, we've got our reading journal questions, which will be due week 7. Hopefully you have been keeping up on these. It only is a half page to a page response for some of these questions. So you can look back, consider the role of narrative perspective in children's book. How does the author shape the experience and the image for the child? What is that like? Half a page response. The reflection really is for you to just kind of download and process the information that you've done throughout the week, and then you'll be submitting all of them on week 7. Okay. So even though we're asking you to look ahead for the final project, and you can keep that in your back of your mind. The bigger things for this week is the illustration analysis paper as well as your presentation. Those two are your primary goals. This one right here should be like kind of on the back burner in the back of your mind. You want to be thinking about this, kind of let this fester. Fester is not a very good word. Simmer in the back of your mind as you begin to move forward. Okay. Please take some time to watch the lecture videos. Those will be beneficial for you. Please message me, email me if you have any questions or concerns. Even in this overview video, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of what to do and what's expected. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.